welcome back. I'm Tonya from Tonya's Witchy Kitchen, and how are you doing today? I can't believe it's December already. And I know, it just feels like, ooh, there's Thanksgiving, there's Christmas. Well, they moved Thanksgiving back a week, but everybody's been hit hard between the meat industry, the government screwing stuff up, and hold on, I'm going to say this as nicely as possible. Okay, so if you've seen the movie Ever After with Drew Barrymore, where it's kind of a Cinderella story, absolutely. But she has a quote in there that really hits home. It really puts a cherry on the whole situation of food stamps and government help and everything. Okay, it says, if you suffer your people to be ill-educated and their manners corrupted from infancy, and then punish them for those crimes to which their first education disposed them, what else is to be concluded? She says sire because she's talking to the prince, but that you first make thieves and then punish them. And I really feel this is how the situation is. We have put, okay, so it used to be, and I know this for a fact, it used to be, like when I was growing up in the 80s, that if you were on food stamps, you had to either go to college or learn a craft or do some apprenticeship stuff, and you had to be off the system within 4 years. Okay? That doesn't mean you couldn't qualify for fuel assistance and maybe free lunches or something like that. Okay? But that's how it was back then. Let's fast forward to today. Okay? But people can get on this system and be on it for years with no repercussions, no doing anything. But it's kind of like the quote says, if they're in the system and they grow up in the system, on food stamps, on TANF, on everything, right? How do you expect them to change because that's all they know? And I know there's this whole reapply now and do this and illegals. There's like so many dimensions to this that you really don't know what's going on. And but I really feel for these people because it's kind of like Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. He says at the end, if it's fine if you're going to take our bonuses away, but you should at least let people know they're losing their bonus. And I think the government was a little wrong in saying, oh, by the way, it's the middle of November, you're not getting your government benefits. I think a little bit more heads up, and this is what's going to happen. Was it a fear factor thing? Just trying to put fear in people, because how do you put fear in people? Take the money away. Yeah. But I don't know. I've just been thinking about this, and it's just really been bothering me because Christmas is such a hard time anyway. It's like, why do you have to do this right now? Hopefully everything gets situated. I don't know. I don't listen to all this stuff. I don't dig deep. I don't jump into the rabbit holes, okay? But I do hear stuff, social media, all this stuff. Or this is what I get from the government, and it's more than I make, in 2 months. It's like, this is crazy, right? Why would you want to? Why wouldn't you want to have 100% of your everything paid and not work, but now you're supposed to go to work and get 50% of what you were bringing in before? It's kind of a really horrible standard, But you know what I'm saying? It's just a whole big mess of stuff, and I think people need to start looking at their expenditures. Boy, I can make you a budget. I could help you out. And if you want one, let me know. I don't know how I'd send it, but yeah, look at where your spending is. And I always tell my boys that, look where your spending is, because that's what's going to get you in the end, is those little expenditures. Now they're buying cows. that's another topic. Okay, this was a little long, but that's okay. Today we are doing something not soap related. So 3 things: be kind, be forgiving, and be you. And let's go check out this next non-soap video. Okay, and just to show you a day where I don't do anything with making soap. But the first thing we're going to do is stamp some soap. And I'm sad to say that this was not a great stamp job. I was debating on using mica instead of just my basic stamp. Sometimes I do mica stamps on them. You know, you tap the stamp in some mica color and then you quickly whack it on the soap. Which this would have been a pretty soap to do it on, but that's okay. And yeah, so just stamping some soap that's going to be coming up in January, February, somewhere in there. I know you're like, that's not very cute soap, but it's okay. It's okay. And then I was making some infused rum for my aftershave splashes. That is like one of the things that was really fun to do. Those are my violet leaves, and these are plantain leaves. So I buy spiced rum. You know, you can do the, what is that, Captain Morgan, or actually tested out a different one. So it's just spiced rum, okay? And then plantain leaves, and then cloves. This is the spicy infusion. There's also a woodsy infusion, but this is the spicy one. And then there's allspice, like the whole allspice. You can crack those if you want to. You can use powders too. You just got to make sure that when you strain it really well. And then there is, of course, yarrow, which is great for an aftershave splash because it actually helps with bleeding. Stops bleeding. Yes, I put the whole thing in there. I put leaves. This is all dried. It makes such a mess, but that is one thing I did not harvest this year was yarrow. And I actually, when I saw my supply from last year, I was kind of like, oh, crap. That is something I don't want to buy when it grows in abundance around here. So, and then some cinnamon sticks. Yes, it's 2 cinnamon sticks whacked. And depending on the size of the sticks, it can be, you know, the ounces range differently. And then comes my spiced rum. I am making an 8-ounce batch. I call it an 8-ounce batch. When I strain it, it might not be 8 ounces, but, you know. And then I had to try it for myself because it was smooth vanilla something. Not bad. It's a rum. Here are my batch sheets. I think I'm going to do one of these and show you the whole thing because there's actually, there can actually be 3 in this process, possibly 4, depending on how extensive you go. But here's my spicy aftershave infused rum. It's not like this is the aftershave itself. This is just part of the recipe. And then I list everything that I put in it and how many ounces per se. The leaves were like 10 of each or something like that. 10 plantain, 10 violet, big leaves, and then everything else. And that's how I do that. And then I do put what it was when it strained, and I do put a date and give it a batch number and all those things. But I was thinking, I think I'm just going to do a video for you, and we'll go from there. And don't forget to label it, and it sits for 4 to 6 weeks. And here's my woodsy infusion. Yep. Probably won't have a recipe for this one because we are straining it. The woodsy one is obviously pine, and I think there's yarrow in there also because it's great for an aftershave. And strain it. Those pine needles, that's probably the worst thing to strain out of there. Now, when you strain it, you want to let it set in the jar for a couple days, 2-3 days. So just in case you have sediment, it sits on the bottom and then you strain it off. I'm just showing this to you, but it's actually, I just strained it. So there's not going to be any sediment. And it's not like you're going to have sediment. See, and you just leave the sediment in the jar. But, you know, you may not. If you use powdered cloves or powdered allspice, you will have that on the bottom. And you really don't want that in the aftershave. So you let it set for a day or so, and then you strain it. I like the wax paper between, and make sure you label it. I usually just swap the label. Here's my beeswax. Yes. Oh, I was having so much fun with candles. Beeswax candles, not even my regular ones. I don't think I did any fancy ones, but so that's going to get melted while I wrap my Pokemon balls, Pokebath bombs. Yep. I just put the label on first because it's easier to get the Pokebomb out of there. Some people shrink wrap the heck out of their bath bombs, and they're a pain in the ass to get out. Sorry, excuse my French. It's not French, it's really English, but, you know, so I just like to put the label on and then shrink wrap it so that when you get it and take the label off, it's easier to get the bath bomb out. Here are my molds. These are molded beeswax candles. There's a difference. I don't think I've put these on. The other ones were molded too, weren't they? I don't know. I got some really cute jars and so much fun for Christmas, but I don't think they're on this video because I did that when we were snowed in. It was like, I'm just going to keep going with my beeswax. Yeah, it's delightful beeswax. I get it from a company in Minnesota. Oh, it's heaven. They smell so amazing. And then I had to wrap some body butter. So I put my little shrink wrap bands on. Yep, body butter. And the bad thing about body butter is, you know, it melts. So you gotta be so careful with the heat gun to stay plenty far away. I kind of shrink it like I do, not quite my lip balms, but I just do like a little bit, you know, do a partial heat and then go on to the next one. So it takes me a couple times, but then I don't melt them in the container. And then after I have my wicks set, then I pour my wax in there. Nice hot wax. Yep. And then I think I've showed you before. Maybe I haven't, but so where the toothpicks are, I will just wait till that sets up and pull the toothpicks out. And don't forget to trim your wicks. As you can see, the candles are in and out because it was a process in and out, you know, while I was doing them. These are my paw bath fizzies. They go 3 to a bag, so I was packaging those. Can't remember what scents I did this time. Grape. I can't remember. I think volcano is the yellow and green. Maybe a watermelon? I can't remember. But so I put them in a bag and then stapled the little cardboard for a little bit extra firm holding, and then they get 2 labels. They get a use label and a what it is. And back to pouring more candles. And I had lotion to label, and I had more candles to make, and yep, and don't forget the sticker. Gotta put the sticker on there. I just buy mine. I don't actually make them. But yeah, that was my day of not soaping. So I hope you had a good time. Thank you for dropping by. I will see you next time, and God bless.